I wanted to share a bit about ChatGPT. This is the new rage. This is the new AI chatbot. Chatbot doesn't quite do it justice. The GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer, is what that stands for. And this was just released, at the end of November in 22. And let's take a look at what it can do. So, unlike Google, or Bing, or whatever your search engine is, when you put in a search for something, what it does is it looks at what it has indexed. It's not trying to figure out what you mean by your search. It's looking more at, if you will, what search terms match up with the things that are already indexed. So if you ask about the American Civil War, you may get all kinds of useful links as well as some less than useful material that comes back in a search. And you then have to sort through it. Here's an example that I said. I said, create a lesson plan to teach the American Civil War. And it went ahead and generated this. Then what's also neat about this is, when I saw the major battles and such, I thought, okay, well, if I needed to discuss that, one of the things that's neat is that it's stateful in that it remembers the context of what we're talking about. So instead of saying, what were the largest battles in the Civil War, it already knows we're talking about the Civil War. What were the largest battles? And then it responded with this. I said, what about write an essay on discovering ionizing radiation? And it came up with this. Every response will be text in that it is kind of a text interface. So it doesn't give you pictures and links and so forth. But you can cut, copy, and paste the information out. You can say things like, for example, the what are the largest countries by population? And it says, and the 2021 part is important, I'll get to in a second. So it's going to go ahead and just crank this out. The system is an artificial neural network. So there have been neural networks neural networks are how our brains work, and there have been neural networks, that can detect features in pictures and do a number of things that, depending on what they've been trained on. This system dwarfs all others that have ever come before it. It's been trained on 175 billion pieces of data, and it is also natural language processing, as you can see, that it can take a sentence, a long sentence. How long? It can take quite a bit. Right now, this system is free, although it's being swamped by people experimenting with it. I went ahead and created an account and put a credit card on it. Let's talk about how cheap this is to use after we see a few more examples. This is a very disruptive thing. I could say, how about create a study guide that covers basic algebra. So, and then the output is always at about this speed. So it's kind of incremental. It's almost as if someone was typing it back to you. And give this a second to finish. And there are a number of tools this comes with. Now, what I find interesting is like it listed number one, know how to solve equations, and then number one, the next paragraph down is understand how to work with polynomials. That the numbering I've noticed is it doesn't increment that. Again, number one, know how to work with radicals, and this goes on and on. I was looking at a trip to Greece and so forth last night, and while this is finishing, and it talked about some Baroque villas, and I thought, I don't remember what the characteristics of a Baroque villa are. So I put that in, and it came back with what I thought was very useful. Then I thought, oh, Baroque music, and I thought, it's been a long time since I've thought about this. So I typed, this in, and got, this output. I'm teaching a Python class, so I said, write a Python function that will accept 5 values and return true if 3 of the values are positive. Not a problem. Boom, kicks it out, then explains it. Then it shows the test cases that, what would result in. Then I said, what if I said, do the same thing, but, only return true if 3 of the values are positive unless 1 is over 100, some kind of obscure thing. If you search for this on Google, I guarantee you will not find a solution for this. This is a custom, kind of arbitrary, but a custom problem. And it says, oh, here's how you can do it. Here's how you can test it. Create a lesson plan to teach Python list. Lists are a data structure in Python. And it goes through and it gives very accurate stuff. Create a tutorial, that covers, and it goes through, I think the answer was I gave it part of my, didn't do real well with this. I took my syllabus and said create a tutorial that covers, and then I pasted my stuff in, and let's see what it came back. Introduction to Networking, which is what the course was, and it came back and took my syllabus and starts with this OSI 7-layer model, which is popular or important, a key function in that course. Goes and lays that out, talks about the network adapter, and it goes on and on of just doing these things. So technical things, it can write code, it can answer questions, it can create lesson plans, it can do all kinds of neat things. Then I asked it things like click in there, get focus here, how is math and nature related? Kind of an intriguing. And again, if you find something of interest, you can just keep deep diving in. Like the one that I was intrigued with was the behavior of waves using calculus. Describe behavior of waves in math. I haven't had my coffee yet, so when I thought waves, I was thinking first about just getting back from Florida, the beach waves, but actually the waveforms and such. So anyway, it goes through some neat things. Let's talk about how cheap this is to use. So in the pricing, it's based on tokens. Here are the models they have. So the most advanced model that we've been using is the Da Vinci model, and it's 2 cents for every 1,000 tokens. So you say, what's a token? So they have a tool that'll allow you to estimate it. It says basically, there's a little pricing detail down here. It says, how much is a token? What is a token? So a token is approximately 4 characters. So their trained model can accept 2048 tokens as the input. So that would be an incredibly, you could basically put a paragraph in as the question. Tell me about the American Civil War and the economic impact on the cotton industry during, and really go on, and it will start digging down. So it's insanely capable. So when we look at the pricing, so I said, what if I said write an essay on the history of ionizing radiation? It says that would use 10 tokens. So we saw that a token is we get 1,000 tokens for 2 cents. So if it's 2 cents for 1,000 tokens, and I'm using 10, that would be times 0.01. So that would cost a very almost insignificant amount to do that calculation, right? Fractional pennies, small fractional pennies. So it's very, very cheap, even if you do sign up for an account. The people are using it to create websites and do all kinds of other things. These are some examples that they publish of grammar correction. So this is going to compete with Grammarly in terms of helping people fix grammar and spelling and so forth. Spelling's easy, right? The matter of fact, Microsoft, for some background, in 2020 bought OpenAI and has been incorporating this technology into their Office 365 applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so forth. Excel has an analyzer function now. You can give it a table of data and have it analyze it, and it'll come up with a number of metrics, or KPIs, if you will, about that data. Word in your composition will offer some advice and complete sentences. If you've noticed that, it'll auto-complete some of that, or offer the autocomplete. The converting one language into another, it can do that. Explaining code, which is kind of interesting how things work. The one of the ones I love is too long didn't read, TLDR, summarization, where you can give it a big block of text data and say, distill this down for me and tell me what it's about. That's kind of neat. The spreadsheet creator is kind of fun to play with. I mean, it goes on and on. Analogy maker. This one's kind of neat to see. Let's try that. And here's the example. And then it also gives you in these the application programming interface, API. So for example, this is the Python code to do this. So if you wanted to do this under programming, it gives you that opportunity. Interview questions. This was kind of fun. And I said, let's go ahead and we can go ahead and open this. And I can say, let's go ahead and open in the playground. Realized when I opened the tab I wasn't logged in. Let's go back down here and interview questions. So you can say open in the playground. That wasn't showing up before. And I was thinking of create a list of 8 questions for my interview with, how about Walmart? With Walmart. And these would be questions that you could manipulate and play with. And there's some parameters over this side you can play with. But this is a little bit different format than the ChatGPT. You can see it's a little bit different interface. You can also pop over to that down here at the bottom. So that's what I wanted to introduce you to if you've not seen this. I hope you enjoy, and you can explore it. The quick way to get into it is open a browser tab and type in open or chat.openai.com, and if you have an account, that'll get you in. Else you can go ahead and sign up for one. Enjoy.